any OTT platform it comes today and thinks that I'll pump in 1,000 crores into it and make it a household name in 6 months, sorry, it's not going to happen. Physical part of the promotions and campaigns has taken a backseat. It's still the bulk of it comes from here, but gradually the transformation is happening from that to a digital era. We are someone who has to cater to everybody's need, and that's what makes us very important and critical for the family. We know which medium or which platform nudges and touches a customer better. We have the unique ability to reach to the last customer at a mobile number level.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series, a series of one-on-one interactions with top brand and marketing leaders who share their industry insights and strategies that have helped shape their stories. This series, hosted by Hindustan Times, offers a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders adjust their strategies for changing consumer behavior while leveraging media channels that improve customer relationships. Today, we are in conversation with Mr. Manoj Dobhal, CEO at Dish TV India Limited, a name that has been synonymous with direct-to-home television in India for over 2 decades. Manoj joined Dish TV as CEO in 2022 and was elevated to CEO in 2023. He also recently became chairman of the board, an emblem of trust placed in his vision. With over 25 years of experience across FMCG, telecom, consumer durables, DTH, broadband, and media distribution, his journey includes leadership roles at Colgate, Dabur, Reliance Communication, Tata Play, and Indiacast. Welcome to the show, Manoj.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, and thank you so much, Hindustan Times, for having me here. It's really a pleasure being there with you today.
Manoj, I'd like to ask you, what are you watching nowadays?
I watch everything which is popped up by the great recommendation engines which are there today when you're traveling on your mobile. So there's a lot of content around sports, there's a lot of content around drama, rom-coms. When I am home, I really go for an immersive experience on my TV. So whatever sports I'm watching, there's nothing great, watching it on your bigger, screen in front of you. So I do watch almost everything. So being a content man, you need to really keep sampling what is, being thrown around here.
So who's controlling the remote at home?
Remote at home, the families and the consumption of content has become very, very hybrid. So the remote normally is in the hands of a housewife or a mother or a father. If you have grandfather, you are blessed. They never, leave that remote from their hands. And the kids at the same time, they know their preferences, their choice, they want their privacy, their own place and time to view whatever they want to consume as a content. So they are onto the mobile handsets.
We'll come to those specific areas where second screen has become such a dominant conversation in so many of our messaging pieces, wherein you're not only watching content on your TV, but you're also watching it on your phone or on your tablet. We'll come to that, but looking at the past few years, cable TV has evolved. As in it's nobody would have imagined the pace at which it has changed, starting from from antennas to dish antennas, to now set-top boxes, to now dongles. So you're at a very pivotal moment at Dish TV. What is the strategic vision from a brand's perspective in such a hybrid environment today?
See, Dish TV has been a pioneer. Anything which is talked around or viewed around content. So right from 2003, we were the first to bring in the direct-to-home distribution of content on the personalized TV sets. We used to call it Aapka Apna Cable. Well, the control is in your hand, not in the cable wala's hand. So cable was even before that, maybe 2 years before that. So what has happened now, we have lived our legacy. We have strengthened it every passing year. We are at a unique position now where the customer dynamism is huge and people want to consume content of their choice anytime, anywhere, on any screen. And this is where we are pivoting from a pure play linear content distribution brand to a brand which provides, which is the ultimate content destination or store for you. So it's a water hole of content. So whosoever is thirsty about content should come to that water hole, quench their thirst, agnostic of technology or platform or screens. So that is what we are strategizing towards, and that's what the vision remains.
Understood. You've had a multi-industry background, and customer was always the center, whether it was FMCG or telecom, both places where price played a huge role. Are you able to borrow anything from FMCG and telecom?
A lot. So every industry teaches you a lot, and I'm one of the blessed ones who has switched over. Some of them, the important ones, critical ones, at different point of time. So I've been fortunate in that sense that I started my journey with FMCG. That's where the nuances of distribution and making your product available. Mr. Kotler, wherever he wrote that book, that remains the Bible of all the marketing people even today. So which starts with product, and then the next thing which comes is placement before even you get to the next 2Ps or the 3Ps after that. So placement is something which FMCG has taught me, and it actually played its part in the subsequent industries also. So what it really gives me a strategic insight is what is the importance of distribution, the omni-channel strategy to reach out to customers. You should not be dependent on only one GTM. There is a lot of consumer insight which can be gathered when you are speaking direct to the customers, and that is what we leverage, because we are talking to more than 1 lakh customers every day on our call centers, on our various touch points which customer have access to. Then there is a lot of this business is all about technology. It's not a simple tertiary, and once the consumption is over, the story is over, or the connect with the brand is over. It's not that. It's a subscription business that we are in.
Absolutely.
The customer has to subscribe to your offerings month after month, and that how we leverage technology for that. So that's what this has really come into play from my various experiences, be it DTH or whatever. And then when there are consumer insights, you really know where the customer is moving. So there is no business other than us. A FMCG company or a consumer durable company may have to go into a lot of research to really find where is the customer moving, what are the perception or taste varying with respect to timeline. But in our business we know it almost instantly, because we have a real visibility of what the customer is watching, what he is consuming, what technology or what platform or device he is consuming at.
Right.
So that really enhances your ability to tailor the offerings at a drop of a hat. And we are a very nimble-footed organization in that sense, because technology is in-house with us. So all these experiences have really helped to take the best product to the right customer, right? And you touched upon price. A lot of people say that India is a price-sensitive market. So price and value are two words which precede or succeed each other depending on how high is the value consideration or the ticket size. So if I am into a car, buying into a car, value becomes first for me, right? For something which I am selling today, it's like a commodity. So it still has value at its core, but the price drives the decision making. So these are various instances in various industries which have really helped me devise the right strategy for the customer offerings.
Understood. But if you look at the current environment we are in, if I have to just look at the space when it comes to digital streaming, even Dish TV is moving from pure DTH to a broader media, and the distribution is being streamlined. But how are you ensuring agility in this transformation? Because when you look at omni-channel, it's also moving towards other spaces. Banking is being done through KYC. We don't need to go to a branch and open an account anymore. So how are you looking at these new modalities?
So it's true that Dish TV started with the legacy of DTH, and primarily I would say 80 to 90% of our customer use come through the physical trade distribution channel. Like you said, even banking has gone mobile, which is such a risk-prone transactions which people do or activities people perform. I don't see there are many people who are going to out there in the market. Everything is available at the click of a button on your phone. So there has to be a strategy which we have pivoted to. We would be acquiring more than 40 to 50% of our customer digitally now. And this very, very sharply targeted GTM that we have. There are many more GTMs that we have come out with, even marketing and taking my communication to the last mile. It's all digital now, right? So a lot of brands or a lot of advertisers, you are seeing the how the physical part of the promotions and campaigns has taken a backseat. It's still the bulk of it comes from here, but gradually the transformation is happening from that to a digital era.
I'm going to further ask you questions on consumer because clearly the taste is changing, new content is coming, different platforms are emerging. There's this whole buzzword of 4K that competition is also you talking about. So how are you reimagining Dish TV brand to stay relevant? Is there a specific focus area, or you're only looking at on-demand content?
See, 4K is definitely a buzzword. I would really ask someone to check, right, how much of 4K content is available in India, right? So when we were in early days of DTH, from standard definition, all of a sudden we started talking about high definition boxes, and there was a lot of high definition content available, and we used to charge HD access fee or HD channel fee and all those from customer. That was a ARPU enhancement strategy also. It worked very fine for a long time, and then when all brands had HD, then there was a new word required, which is 4K. So 4K content, if you ask me, other than OTT devices, on your TV and all, the whole ecosystem is not there. So even if content is being published, your ecosystem on linear is not equipped for it. So it's too much of capex which is going to those kind of boxes. It's not that we are averse to doing it. We have around 8 to 10% of our customers who are on 4K enabled boxes, right? And it's growing segment for us as well. But we remain honest in our offering to the customer. So what they need at the best value proposition, right? We focus more on that.
How much is that demand different from smaller towns to urban? Does everybody clearly is happy watching on full HD rather than 4K? Are there any specific insights that you're able to draw from a content strategy perspective when it comes to catering to different consumers from different cities or towns?
Yeah, so if you go beyond the metros, and this is what everybody says, it's not my adage, everybody knows it out there in India and the world, that India lives in the villages, right? 60 to 70%, if not more, are still people coming from the agrarian or the rural.
Even the FMCG sector.
Even the FMCG sector is mostly targeted on the rural folks only, because the growth is huge. It's because not only the population and consumption, it's also because the penetration has been less in these areas, and there are a lot of distributed in dark areas, even the digital era today. So if you talk about the best of the logistic firms also, if you ask them how many pin codes you are covering, I would be surprised if anybody claims more than 60 to 70%. So there is so much of distribution in dark areas. So while the opportunity is huge in the villages, there are fair share of challenges to reach out to them from distribution perspective, from service perspective, and from even reaching to them through a campaign perspective. So these three challenges are there, but we are very uniquely placed as an industry. If you ask me, Dish TV was always known to be an outside-in brand. It never went from metros towards rural or villages. It started from rural peripheries or villages or tier 3 and 4 towns, and then went inside. And that is why it has a huge brand equity in the rural hinterlands or the semi-urban hinterlands even today. So we get a lot of insight. Like I said, we get to hear a lot of customers every day. We have fantastic tools, technology enabled, where customer can share their choice preferences with us, and we are really very happy to tailor make the options for them at a customer level. So a lot of companies would struggle if I have to target a particular profile or cohort. So they would go with population, then demography, then gender, then occupation, and then still they won't reach to the last mile, the last customer. We have the unique ability to reach to the last customer at a mobile number level, right? And we know what he needs. So that's a unique proposition that this business gives us.
Understood. That puts you in a little difficult situation. I would say that because you also have younger viewers now. You don't want to alienate your core, but then you also need to address the demand from this new younger audience who's emerging, probably in tier 2 and tier 1. So how are you managing to keep a good balance? So
if you see what we have done in last 18-24 months, we have seen this, we have seen it coming, and we wanted to be ready for this. I would say it's a wave of growth which is going to come from there. So if you see the mobile penetration in India, more than 100% today, right? So every individual would carry 1.5 mobile at an average level, right? The the data being so cheap, the consumption of content is really huge. So India is not only driving content consumption, it is actually creating an ecosystem for the creators also, because there are so many who are there to consume, and we are really crazy about entertainment and content, and we need some freshness every now and then. We get easily bored. We don't want to do or watch even the mundane repetitive content also. So there is a huge opportunity, and we are conscious of this fact, and that is why we started about 18 months back or maybe 16 months back a unique concept called Smart Plus, where we say family viewing is important in India, and luckily 90+% of Indian household are still single TV household, right? So that family thread and culture of India is intact, irrespective of whatever who says about hybrid or cord cutters and all. So that TV remains there.
Tulsi is coming back.
Tulsi is coming back. So broadcasters are realizing that. That's really great. I came to know of that about week 10 days back only. So we have friends and among the broadcaster friends who say that the TV is still very, very critical, while the younger generation and audience, thanks to COVID and a lot of content going OTT way, so they are very important and critical. What is tailwind for us is that this brand is known to all of them. It is just we have to provide them, like we said, our vision is to make Dish TV as an ultimate content destination for viewing content anytime, anywhere, on any screen. So that that remains the core theme, and we are conscious of it, and that's why we have forayed big time into OTT. It started somewhere 3 years back when we said we'll launch WATCHO exclusive, which was our own exclusive stuff and all. Then we realized it's not our forte. So when I took over, we took some decisions. We said, no, this is not the right way to go. We'll end up, this is not our core competence. We'll end up, honestly spending too much on it. Let's go and transform what we are good at. So what we are good at is aggregating the content. We are essentially a distribution platform, and we are uniquely positioned in between the broadcasters and the end customers. And we are the one who make them meet and take the stuff out to the customers. So we decided that we need to do something about it. That is where OTT aggregation started. So WATCHO as an aggregation platform came in. It has not created a household name for itself, and that's an obvious reason, because we wanted to reach some critical threshold for critical mass before we really pump in.
Go in a phased way.
Yeah, go in a phase way. There are, and believe me, I'm of firm opinion, maybe wrong or right. Any OTT platform it comes today and thinks that I'll pump in 1,000 crores into it and make it a household name in 6 months, sorry, it's not going to happen. Because India has a typical way of adoption. There are early adopters. There are people who keep on watching what is becoming good. Unless there is such a tangentially different content on it, it cannot become an overnight success. And even after that, there is no guarantee of a one show guaranteeing you the success for the future. So it has to be organic build-up also. That's what we have done with WATCHO. So we have a platform which has all the OTT platforms that one can seek. So be it JioStar, be it SonyLive, be it Z5, be it Lionsgate, be it Hoichoi, be it Chopal, be it Sunnext. There's a list of around 21, 22 great apps which customer want, or which customers are following content today. They are not following platforms. Right? So this is again a unique proposition for the customer, great value proposition again. For $299, you get access to all the OTT apps that you can seek, right? And there is a flexibility in that also. You don't want to pay $299. There is a flexi one pack also. So we have pivoted to that already. Whosoever the millennials or the younger generation, whosoever I talk to, when they are demonstrated the product, they rate it fantastic. Right, and this gives me an edge also because I am also, transitioning my customers and my brand legacy. So Dish has been a great name, right? But for last 20-25 years, nothing refreshing and rejuvenating has come into it. So this gives an opportunity to connect to these guys. So we cater to everybody in the house. Now what we are doing, we are taking the level one up now, not being satisfied as a content aggregator, because we know this ecosystem so well. So we thought there is a booming, industry. The Honorable PM himself said in the Waves, conference in Mumbai, right, 2nd, 3rd and 4th of April, that there is a new tsunami, which is the orange tsunami. or he called it orange economy, which is going to evolve. So are we ready for that? I think we were ahead of time. We had our own Content India show, which was just a month before the waves. And in the Content India show also, what happened? There were 60 representatives from 16 countries who had come. So these were the producers, studios,
Content creators.
right? Content creators. Not only them, we had our regional road show in Calcutta, we had in Hyderabad, and we saw what kind of potential is there. So we wanted to change the game, right? Only from a content aggregator to do something different and keep the relevance intact for Dish TV brand and grow it further from there to the next orbit. So we started with Content India, where a lot of content creators, and they themselves gave an idea ki, boss, we want Dish to do something different. And we were quick. Our GTM and speed to market is so fantastic that in 3 months' time we were able to roll out a platform, right, called FLIQS. Right, so you would be aware of FLIQS, right? So FLIQS is any creator's own OTT platform, right? So where you can produce whatever you want, you don't need to worry about where it will be published, how it will be promoted, right? It's gone live about 2 months back only, and we have a lot of content creators who are coming to us from local to regional, of course the national players, like NFDC has one of its own channel on FLIQS now. And there are a lot of international content guys who want to have this pie of Indian market.
Yes.
So that's how we are changing the relevance and connecting to these younger audiences who would drive the future revenues for the brand.
I'm going to ask you on your marketing models or channels now. How are you looking at the next strategy when it involves acquiring more customers, whether it's using influencer marketing or whether it's more performance-led marketing? What is it that's sparking more engagement as in this space for you?
See, we are one of the brands where everybody in the household is a decision maker.
Correct.
Right? So right from a kid who is watching his favorite cartoons and all, to a grandmother who is watching Devotion and Sanskar and Astha and all that, right? In between there is whole spectrum which is like, yeah, in between you and me, and so all of them are there. So we are really in a very, very complex industry in that sense. So any brand, maybe a bike brand, has to just worry about a segment which is very sharply defined. A car brand or ultra luxury car brand again has a very sharply defined audience and cohort. We are someone who has to cater to everybody's need, and that's what makes us very important and critical for the family. So what is happening is, if we go 6-7 years back, there was a lot of emphasis on, everybody would say, where are we putting our campaigns, promotion campaigns, or a launch offer campaigns? The first thing used to come in mind was, let's go media, let's go print, right? And over the period of time, you would have seen, because you are in print media, you would have seen some of it, declining, right? Those revenues are going more digital. Now, from a bombarding, and what print media used to give us is a huge reach, right? But it was still mass. It was not at an individual level. From there, we started going very, very, segmented. Okay, we will talk to a cohort, right? But today, it has all gone individual.
Yes.
So with this digital, era ushering in, there's a lot of digital marketing which has become so relevant for the limited, target segment, and we have defined those, decile 1 to decile 10 customers, right, on ARPU, on stickiness and all those, right? So we know which medium or which platform nudges and touches a customer better, right? And we know, I would not boast about it, we are one of the brand who has each district wise in India who are the leading social influencers in that market, or even social media influencers. So, and digital platforms which they are active on, right? So we have this insight. A lot of our campaigns have now gone very, very specific, using those influencers.
Right.
And like I said, digital platforms, they always give you access. You can sharply define your boundaries by pin code, by wards, right, by states if you want, city or town, whatever way you want to go. So we are using a lot of that. So our media spends are also I'm moving in that direction in that sense. Like, for the whole world, it is the advantage we have is we can really do it one-to-one also with our customers.
So Manoj, you mentioned digital channels as one of the popular channels right now. So what in digital? Is it still performance, or you looking at using social media to further engage? Because see, awareness is already there. People are already aware of Dish TV. But how do you win more trust? How do you reinforce your messaging? That's what the audiences would like to know.
So to begin with, influencer is the route that we are taking. We are not into big time celebrities anymore. We have had our own, big celebrities, you would know about it, right? Both Dish and D2H, right? So we really are, like we said, we are a value champion. So we want to really drive value for ourselves also, right? What comes from it. And for a commodity like DTH, if you ask me, you really don't need to put too much of promotion, right? It's like if you, put down your grocery or your, household requirement, starts from, vegetable, milk, and then you go to your mobile and DTH, right? Which is very, very, routine for any household. And there are nudges which keep on coming on your TV, on your handset, on your apps, that your recharge is getting over and all that. So the category is very, very well trenched now in terms of awareness. So we really don't need to spend too much of awareness, right? On the digital side of it, like connecting with the millennials and Gen Zs and all that, we still spend a lot. And for them, the best medium to reach out is social media itself, because they spend a lot of time over there. There are a lot of cross app promotions also that we do. So that is one. Social media like Insta. There is still a large population which are on Facebook. We do that. Meta also, we do that as well. On WhatsApp, because we have so many contacts and not all the customers are engaged with us all the time. Right? So if you see, our bottom of the base would be at least 2x, 3x of the active base. But these people who are inactive at any point of time, they do come back to us when that trigger of the content and event is there for them. So that's where we use the digital media again, and most of the time it is our on TV tools or our SMS or inbound, outbound, or WhatsApp, which is completely digital. So, right. So these are the basic pillars for us, our communication strategy. We do, whenever we are doing some of the big launches, like you would hear very soon now, we go to print also. But that is more towards the festive season and all. There are the campaigns that we especially roll out over festive season, because we are a family brand again. So we want to still connected, and there is nothing better than a festive, emotion when you really want to connect with them. So these are the ones which we use more frequently, and more money will be pumped into that.
So that means that then how are you aligning your marketing and pricing strategies? Because you need to drive both subscriber acquisition and also ensure they stay loyal with you for the next couple of years.
So if given a choice to me on this subject, there's a lot of chaos which has been created by all the DTH and cable platforms, right? So let me say, if somebody would ask me, what is that one change you want to bring in this industry? This would be the biggest change I would want to bring in. We have really confused the customer a lot. There are so many packages that we are running which customer is not bothered about. What he is bothered about is a very simplistic way of consuming content and a channel which he wants to consume. And this is where, if you see, about last a decade or so, we've been talking about NTO, right? You would be covering that a lot in your reports and all. So the NTO was aimed at giving the customer only what he wants. Parents at home would be watching only handful of 8 to 10 channels.
Yes, true.
And they don't want beyond that. But we have made it a point, boss, we'll give you everything, irrespective whether you need it or not, right? And that's how the pricing and packaging and offerings have got a lot of people busy in the industry, right? Something to do, on a daily basis, irrespective of who is, requiring it or not. So if given a choice, I would correct that first. And that is what we are aiming at now. Like I said, we are going to become a content store very soon, wherein I am going to tell customer something very, very unique and disruptive. Boss, tell me what you want. I'll enable the system for you. You pay only for that much.
But then a la carte models do exist, right? When I look at the packages.
But they are not conducive for a value proposition.
You still need to have base package,
Yeah,
and then you add on a la carte.
Correct. So if given a choice, I would have only 3 packs, right? Where would I say and that you want DTH? See, there are 4 kind of customers if you ask me today in the DTH industry. There is one segment which is having TV at home has a DTH connection also, and he has lot of OTT subscription connected to a smart TV. Most of the times he doesn't want DTH. So this is one category of customer, right? One cohort. For him, his OTT is more important, right? Because of time, convenience, whatever, right? So this customer today is not more than 10, 15, 20%. Then the next customer, which is having a family ecosystem, he needs DTH, but primarily he is consuming more on OTT.
But then again, these are single screen, they have single TVs, or all of them have single TVs?
I said 90+% is a single TV, at home in Indian households. So these are the customers who want a DTH, right? But they are already sampled to OTT consumption. So they are most likely to gravitate towards the first category going forward. The third category is a customer who has a DTH, who occasionally wants OTT, right? Not to be left behind, fear of missing out something in the race or in the social, quotient and all. So usko OTT chahiye, right? But he's primarily a DTH customer. And the last one is only DTH, which is again, if you go the rural folks and all, right? DTH, if at all OTT, AVOD wala, free and all that, right? So a lot of content consumption is happening on AVOD also. So these are the 4 specific category of customers which India has. Unfortunately, we marketeers have confused between various cohorts. Every company would be, if you go to a customer engagement teams of any DTH or cable platform, you would see them coming out with hundreds of cohorts. कि ये cricket floater है, ये वो है, and all that, right? So not connecting with the undercurrent of the customer. कि there are only 4 specific categories. You just make the pricing very, very simple and the offering very, very simple for them. And this is what we are trying to do now.
But then if you look at how regulations and technologies are changing, how are you looking at innovation now? Because there's so much of unpredictability right now. It's not easy to know what 6 months down the line, what is the consumer going to watch or what is the new technology. So how are you using product strategy to keep innovating?
Very interesting.
I know it's an open-ended question.
No, it's really very, very pertinent one. Very, critical one also.
Not trying to get a business secret.
No, I mean, these secrets are out already in the market. I even tell my teams, if you are trying to protect data from someone, don't worry. The people already have it, right? So don't worry too much. Don't break your sweat over that, right? So if you see how the household pyramid of India is placed today, so you have around 8 to 10 crore households at the bottom of the pyramid, which are TV dark. They don't even have TV.
So what are they consuming on?
So they are on mobile data, right? So whatever comes in,
they're on their mobile device.
snackable content which is freely available.
That's why short form content.
Short form, yeah. So that dopamine culture is there, right, for them, and it's for all the categories actually. So these are the 8 to 10 crore households which do not have a TV today, primarily from the north and central part of India, maybe some of east also. If you look at south is more than 95% penetrated on TV household, depending on which state we are talking about. So this is one tailwind which TV business or DTH business still has, right? So there is still that pipeline which is giving you customers to acquire from.
Right. And that's a huge point.
Right. Immediately after, there is one ladder, which is they have TV, but they don't want to subscribe month after month. They don't want to do a repetitive recharge every month. So they are the one, like I would say, farmers, peasants, low income category customers, for which other than Government of India, nobody has a product. And this is where we are again uniquely placed. In this pyramid, minus the bottom, because we are not a mobility player, right? Minus that 8-10 crore homes, we don't have offering there. But the very next one, which is this free, content consuming guys, we have a product called Zing Super for them, which gives the customer 4 years of viewing, free of cost. You don't need to recharge anything. So whatever is coming on free dish, right, would be coming on this STV. And these are again around 45 to 50 million households, as per the Prasar Bharati data only I'm talking about. So these are around 4-5 crore households where we are still relevant because we have a product and proposition there also. And we are the only brand. Nobody has this. Then comes the next one, which is cable, and then pay TV, pay TV, which is split between cable and DTH.
Subscription.
Right, subscription. We are definitely placed there. And then the OTT one, which is the top of it, cord cutters and all. For every layer in that pyramid, from that free seeking customers to OTT, we have the product provision available, whether it is Zinc Spur, whether it is our DTH services, whether it is our OTT, whether it is a hybrid of OTT and DTH. What we are strengthening it with now is a complete ecosystem of devices as well.
Yes.
So that's a big leap we are going to take forward.
So clearly you're addressing every value chain that is to be. So then how does the next 5 years look like? Maybe for Dish TV or for this entire sector, is aggregation of content services going to be the next big wave, or do you think something new, disruption is waiting to be happened?
Like I said before, we are essentially a content aggregator. That's at our core. That's going to remain. It's going to get strengthened further. We are adding more layers to it. So like I said, we had the thought 3 years back when I was not even on board that WATCHO exclusive will start. So WATCHO exclusive was producing our own content. And then we realized it's not our core competence, let's look at some alternate way. That's why FLIQS came in. Right? So on FLIQS today, you have more than 6,000 hours of content, which is not created by us, which is not produced by us. It is produced by professional creators, very well curated and moderated by us for the nice family viewing. So that's been done. So that's one layer which is going to get strengthened, and we will get not only the local, regional and national content on that, we'll even get international content for our viewers on that to connect to these Gen Zs and millennials and all, right? So that is one which is going to evolve big time. You will see Dish TV at the core would be content, but there would be like we want to make it a complete destination for anything around content. You would seek not only content in the form of entertainment, even infotainment. Maybe too early to say, I can even think of a podcast because my audience is same, right? And we are already working on device ecosystem, right? So today what I'm doing, I'm selling a set-top box at a subsidy, and that's why you were talking about, somewhere you were talking about 4K boxes.
Yes.
Right? Nobody in this industry is gaining anything out of that set-top box investment, which is huge versus a normal HD box, right? So what we are going to do is, and that too on subsidy. So we are going to get into a device ecosystem as well, where everything would be end-to-end bundled for the customer. Take this piece, put it at your home. DTH is already in-bundled in it, OTT is already in-bundled in it, right? You have to just plug in and switch on.
So Manoj, how would you say that, is there a bigger opportunity and challenge, or there's only opportunity? How do you look at the future now?
See, content is going to be always there, right? So anything we want to celebrate today is around food, travel and entertainment. So content is going to be there. So we are in a very nice industry for that matter, right? The opportunities would come. The behavior only of customers will change, which is from technology to devices. We are addressing all of that. So that's a big opportunity. India is such a big population, and there is a creators economy which is already available. So a lot of people are ready to produce more and more and share it with you. We are known for aggregation, right? So opportunity is definitely there because we are a very, very deep entrenched brand in the Indian society. Big name for anybody, right? So like I said, India produces more movies than maybe the whole of Europe and America together in a year. So the opportunity is huge, and that's why all these people are producing, because they see that opportunity. So opportunity is really huge, not only from this, also from the perspective of the TV dark households, the free dish or the free content viewers, which will definitely aspire to upgrade in future. So that opportunity, the tailwind is really huge. So that's about the opportunity. Challenges, yes, because of the complexity of the target segment we have, where we have to cater to everybody. So we really have very sharply defined, GTMs and touch points, the feedback mechanism, and the offerings which they need or they are craving for. That's one. There are a fair bit of more challenges. From brand perspective, from awareness perspective, I don't see there is any challenge, right? The challenges are on the other side for DTH, which is not only for dish. I'm talking about the industry as such, right? Which is the regulation. We are always, a very well-schooled, student, and the expectation is huge from DTH only. So we have to be the best, right? The expectations are like that, and regulation really puts us on back foot, on an uneven playing field when we see our competition, be it OTT or be it cable TV for that matter. So these are the big challenges that we see. I think regulators have been recommending it, authorities have been recommending it. There's work happening on it, on the license fee and all that. So that it's a big cost that would help us, putting more money into developing newer technology and newer propositions for the customer and serving them better actually.
If we have to look at FLIQS as a platform, what would you tell a content creator today? Why should they join FLIQS, and what's in it for a content creator today to choose a relevant platform for them?
See, there are more than 1 lakh serious content creators in this country. When I'm saying serious, professional. I'm not talking of that 2-minute, 3-minute short video and reels and all those TikToks and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. These are the people who are really professional. They have real story, real scripts, a great ability to produce and develop something. But what they lack is where to put it. So where do they go? If they go to a big distribution house or a broadcaster, although they are my friends, but this is how the trade plays, the industry plays, you sell it and leave your rights and creativity completely over it, and whatever price you get out of it, the monetization is really very, very limited. A lot of content creators don't want to do that. The other option for them is to go to a AVOD platform. I'll not name anybody. The biggest money is made by a handful of creators on even the AVOD platforms, and we have seen it. When we launched FLIQS, we actually research a lot on it, what kind of content is lying where in the scroll list, right? And you keep going, your thumb would be tired, but you keep on going, and then all of a sudden on somewhere in the, maybe 500 sequence, you would find a really great content. But this guy lacks the ability to promote it. So he just put it over there. So these are the people who really have some real stuff. Yeah, we have gone and shared the story with them that, boss, you do what you do best, which is to create. Leave it to us to publish and promote and monetize it. And right from day one, you can choose whichever way you want to monetize it. You want to do per transaction, you want to do per series, per episode, or a monthly subscription, right? It's your choice, right? So this is a democratic platform or a OTT platform of the content creator, right, which is available under WATCHO by the name of FLIQS.
There's an interesting study by Kalari Capital which said that most content creators don't end up making money. Handful of few end up actually being very.
That's exactly what I said just now.
So is that what's being addressed? Are you looking at making them more self-sufficient by creating this platform?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is what the sole objective of this platform is. And this gives me a lot of access to real gripping content which has not got any exposure. Just think of it, there is somebody in Andhra Pradesh, right, creating a content, making a content, but he cannot go anywhere. And while there is a lot of Telugu diaspora all over the world, right, so they need a platform, right. So for him it will be, absolutely impossible to reach somebody sitting in US, sampling his content to a US, Telugu speaking bidda, right, but here it is available for him.
Let me come back to your leadership style and your philosophy. Clearly, the content democratization has happened. So, how would you put your leadership philosophy today in 2025? Has it changed, or you still feel that what you thought and practiced still applies now?
I would say the leadership style is also never fixated, right? I keep people, putting themselves in a bracket. This is what my leadership style is. I'm not a believer in that. I think the leadership style changes with the situation, with the industry, with the what thing that you have in front of you, the challenge you have in front of you. So at time you need to be autocratic leader, at time you need to be a democratic leader, at time you need to be a transformational leader, at time you need to be, XYZ, whatever kind of a leader. But why I definitely encourage is decision making. Rather we celebrate decision making, right? I ask people not to come to me unless it is required, right? So that really pushes and pushes them to the limits, right? So celebrate that decision making, encourage people to take bold calls. Look at the bigger picture. So in one of our value system, we have BHAG as a goal. So if you word it called BHAG, right? But what BHAG is basically big, hairy, audacious goals. You should not be limited to what you are doing and thinking of that incremental change as a leader. That's not what you are for. For that there are operational teams. You need to be really having those kind of leadership traits. I really do encourage people to make mistakes, experiment and make mistakes. But what is critical and important is to immediately learn from that mistake, right? Otherwise you cease to grow. So that's, I would quantify as my, leadership style.
And
I don't know where does it fit in the leadership styles, which are written in the scripts and all.
No, clearly with the changing environment, you have to adapt and adjust and pivot towards the consumer end of the day. Where do you seek inspiration from?
Oh. So there's so many people around you, right, who are doing so much of great stuff. I do take inspiration even from a housekeeping guy in my office, right? I see them doing their work more diligently, immaculate in the way it has to be done. And I would say not necessarily for you to have your heroes, right? But if you look around in your society, I take inspiration from even a guy who's running a marathon, right? So there's something to learn from him. I would go to that particular dialogue of Three Idiots, where Amir Khan said, "Ki gyan bat raha hai boss, jao le lo."
Yeah, so true.
It's good to learn.
Very insightful.
Yeah, it's very insightful, and that really hits me. There's so much to learn from others. The only thing you need to really understand is listen more,
Exactly.
right, and process that.
I want to touch upon festive advertising that you spoke about earlier. It is clearly a high investment period for many brands because everybody's trying to get that share of voice. How has that evolved over the years? Do you see any change in that pattern of consumers being more receptive, and how are you planning your festive marketing this year, and any past campaign that stood out for you?
See, this market has got a really established ARPU now. And people know when they are doing their monthly planning and budgeting, they know what value I have to ascribe for my DTH and content and entertainment dollar. In this also, if you are someone who can bring in that value proposition, even a very squeezed, space, right? So if you say how much people pay for entertainment in India versus the rest of the world, it's a huge difference, right? So we are already very squeezed on that. But yes, we are trying to still create that value proposition for the customer by the virtue of being an aggregator, right? So these prices, we don't really talk about price anymore. This is more of a service, right? This is more about retaining your customer and gaining that, loyalty over a period of time. And we have various loyalty bonuses, loyalty, initiatives for our old customers, right? Like free service, like, box replacement, a lot of services that we give them. Like OTT bundling on some pack. If we see there's a very high ARPU customer, and why do I need to charge more from him? So I just sample him some of his OTT, and then he wants to upgrade, he can upgrade. So these are mostly the campaigns. Yes, most of our spending, even during festive, would be on digital, like I said, and it would be more about the new initiative and the connect which we want to establish with the category, which sees that the relevance of dish for them has gone down. And we are working on something, in next 6 months you will hear a lot more about it, right? How we are pivoting, how we are transitioning while keeping the strength of our legacy, drawing strength from it, but also transitioning it through the dynamism of today's era, right? So that this brand or the new brand, whatever, I don't know, would remain relevant even 20 years or 30 years from now. So that's what we are working on today.
Lovely. Thank you so much for your time, Manoj. It's been a pleasure having you. I wish you all the best, and may you keep bundling more happiness packages for us.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks a lot. Yeah,
Thank you, Manoj, for sharing your strategic foresight and insights into navigating legacy media in a digital-first landscape. Your journey from sector-agnostic leadership to steering Dish TV through transformation reflects the thoughtful innovation behind brand evolution. That wraps up another episode of the HT Brand Leadership Series. Stay tuned for more such conversations with India's visionary brand leaders. See you soon.